We're going live.
Awesome. Hello, everyone.
Live.
Buenos días. Buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes.
Hey,
Are we broadcasting?
are we going to announce ourselves?
Yeah, we're live.
We are live, by the way.
I'll go first.
Chu, who are you?
Go
Why
ahead.
are you here?
Why am I here? I don't know, but I'm Troy McDonald with the group Live Event Marketers on Facebook. You also go to the URL liveeventmarketers.com. That'll take you right to the group, and it's where you're allowed to promote your live stream or live event that's based on business and marketing, and also as well as discussing live events that are based on business and marketing and anything that's kind of related to that.
Cool. Very cool. My name is John Paduchak, JohnPaduchak.com, and I specialize in live video, helping people with what we're doing today. How cool is that?
It's uber cool.
Ooh, cool.
I'm Dr. Christopher Vogelman of Maximize Your Media, our digital agency with, gosh, a heck of a lot of national clients. And also from Life Beyond Practice, which is the group that I run for doctors who want to have more free time, freedom, and fun by building their own online, non-bricks and mortar businesses. And we're talking today about audiences. Your audience. How do you find your audience, and what the heck are you going to do with them once you find them? Gentlemen, your audience.
Our audience. That's a good
Who's your audience? I can tell you mine. Mine are doctors. But not just any old doctors. I got friendly MDs. I go after the dentists and naturopathic physicians, as well as those doctors, chiropractors, which is my normal base. But surprisingly, I get better traction with dentists and MDs. God knows why.
It's hard to tell sometimes.
I
So
know.
you resonate with.
What's that?
I said it's who you resonate with, apparently. So,
Yeah, I mean, I apparently resonate better sometimes with MDs than I do with chiropractors, which has always kind of confused me a little bit, except maybe it was because originally I used to sell pharmaceuticals for Sharing Plow in Houston, and I called on a lot of MDs. And then when I did get into practice, at one point I was part of a large group practice that mostly consisted of MDs. So it could be that I just gained a lot of familiarity with them by being in a group of 24 providers. At least, gosh, I would say 16 of them were MDs. But
well, I mean, what we're talking about is the resonating with. So your audience it's interesting I think when we all start out, it's I want to talk to anybody and everybody, because again we think it's the numbers, and it is the numbers. I think a couple things. So first, it is about the numbers, right? Like you just want to get anybody and everybody. Then you really find out who you're resonating with, which again tends to shrink it down. I know, Dr. V, you've been talking about like your email list, how you've been shrinking that down for your wife.
Yeah, right. To get the super fans.
Yeah. And then it's, as you then find who you really resonate with, it's then increasing that reach to bring more of those people in. And I think, I mean, in my guess, and you guys can add to it or pick it away however you want, but I think that's really what we're talking about with an audience, is that, it is finding, again, it makes sense to just kind of shoot like with the shotgun, kind of broad, get anybody and everybody you can, because there's some degree of, that they resonate with you, but they may not be your sticking or your top 1,000 or your what's the word again, Dr. V?
Super fans,
your 1,000.
Super fans.
Yeah. And so, so we're talking, I guess, to two different people also that are watching this would be, again, the complete beginners in a sense, where they're going for that, just, give me anybody. Does anybody want to hear me at all? And then the other ones that have been doing that for a while and then want to actually get to that 1,000 super fans, or just continue to build out their super fandom.
Super fandom, yeah. And it's not, being random won't get you super fandom. And one of the things that I remember is, there's the old phrase within marketing, but it's also within medicine, which is generalists get paid, but specialists get rich. I mean, the brain surgeon attains a different level of income than the family practice doctor. And that's just because of the specialization. And as you specialize in marketing, like with John, you're talking about specializing in the marketing end of things, which is live video training.
Right.
As opposed to, I'm going to do everything from Facebook ads to SEO to this, to that, to everything else.
And then from there, I seem to resonate mostly with people in the health community and in the self-improvement industry is kind of where my peeps come from for the most part.
Yeah, I've noticed, like with a lot of internet marketers such as myself, when we, and I know even John, we've talked about this before, where back in the day when we got started, it was you kind of had to learn this, that, the other thing, and then his
brother, know it all.
Yeah, you had to learn it all. So it was easy to expand and want to do, in essence, everything, because I think we find it fascinating, and just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Right.
Right.
But it's easy to fall into that trap of where you're wanting to do, or you like to do a lot of the different things, because it's all fascinating, especially if you really enjoy marketing and all the different aspects. But I agree with Dr. V that it's really the specialization is where you get to really become, again, like a super expert. And then you're really able to serve that community so much deeper than almost just being a generalist in a specific topic or specific topics, plural.
Well, you can still be a generalist, but you have to kind of narrow down the flavor of your presentation. Because I know there are a lot of marketers out there who have courses on, of all things, course creation. But, and the steps are pretty much the same, no matter who you're talking to. But in many ways, it's how they present themselves as a unique take on that particular part of the online industry.
I agree with you. At the same time, I think it's going to be a different message if, say, for example, say John, right? He's creating a video course for those who are in the personal development field. He's going to focus that message to them differently than those in the health field.
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean, there may be, you can always typically, find a little bit of overlap in a sense, but so I'm in agreement with you, but at the same, Dr. V, but at the same time, I'm also like, there's a difference between, when you're really focusing on a particular group or a particular aspect of your expertise kind of thing.
Yeah, I think that's the way to get traction is to niche down and specialize in something. But I look at somebody like an Anik Singhal who has, the Learn group, and they basically have a ton of different courses teaching various aspects of internet marketing. And one of the ones I was thinking of was one I purchased years ago, which was on course creation. And it was step by step. It was very granular. So maybe part of your specialization is getting down into the nitty gritty and the details of things, whereas somebody else might not for that particular subject.
Well, I do think that you can be a specialist, and it doesn't necessarily guarantee that you're going to make the big buck.
No.
You have to be able to market yourself.
Yeah.
What I will say, my opinion with, like the Learn site, and also from my experience. So I used to have a very broad, internet marketing angle where I was like, hey, look, I know other internet marketers, we kind of can get drawn to the shiny object, right? So I just had a big list, and I would just be like, I'd look for quality stuff that I thought, that was timely. It would work. It may be flash in the pan money, but it was something that you could jump in on and take advantage of it, and then go to the kind of the next thing. So I would actually sell a lot of different products to, again, the general audience of of marketers. And again, you can make money that way, and that's kind of what I see. Like the Learn, I think it's what Learn does. You know what I mean? They just have a lot of marketers, and so they're just going to blast out a lot of different ideas. Hey, here's how to make money with Kindle. Here's how to make money with courses.
Exactly. Yeah.
That kind of stuff. So it's doable. It's doable, but you have to then have almost a larger audience, because whatever product or service you're coming out with is going to hit like a certain segment at any particular time. So,
and I think they pretty much go after the newbies to a great extent, because this is an autoresponder. You need to put names into this autoresponder.
Hey, Rohit's here with us. It's 2:45 a.m. Thank you for being dedicated.
God, where is he?
Yeah,
where are you?
That's interesting. Wow, 2:45.
2:45 in the
Wow.
morning. Good Lord. See, that
He
would
might
put him on the other side of the world, actually.
he might be
He
a
is a
night
super
owl,
fan.
which
Super
I am.
fan.
Super fan.
There's a super
Me
fan.
too.
We need 999 more of him.
Well,
That's right.
actually, we do have more. It's just whether they
I know.
actually
I know.
speak to us in the chat. So
Speak to us. Talk to us.
Do speak to us.
Send
We
us
like that.
hearts. Send us love. Hey, so what are the tools that you folks use for finding your audience?
India.
India.
For
Yes,
finding.
India.
Mhm.
Another question is Delhi, Mumbai. Where are you? My old college roommate was from New Delhi.
finding your audience.
Finding how to find your audience. That's the question. I mean, do we just do this shotgun thing? But are there techniques and things like one of the things that comes to mind is Facebook's audience insights, and the ability to create an audience based upon at least what you think might be the interests of your customer, your ideal customer, or your customer avatar.
Well, let me put that on pause for a second, because I just want to point out to people or remind people that while we do have tools like Facebook and they kind of give you a little, you can go granular, et cetera, and you're going to end up paying for that.
Yeah.
I also want to remind people that we need to look at all areas and aspects of finding new people into our tribe, or
Right.
at least to come sample our goods, right? Like, when you go into the store and you get the food samples, but because that's the thing, like I don't want anybody to be so narrow visioned that and that's the word I use all the time, narrow visioned, whatever, but so narrow minded. But I don't want to use minded, because more like I'm talking about how they see how to go about something.
This is our new thing for narrow vision.
Yeah, we'll have to get our blinders, or get our horse blinder things on. Where
welcome to narrow vision. So
narrow vision. Now in 3D.
Exactly. Or 3 peeps.
Well, there you go. Now in 3 Ps. So 3 Ps in a pod. But because that's the thing, like I remember back in the day, where there was more forums, and that to me is what really Facebook is, just glorified forums put together.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people get so focused on doing one way of building an audience. And I've been having discussions with other people in my group about like what I'm going to be doing, because I am, again, behind the magic curtain here, curtain number 1. I'm redoing my my live stream setup, and we talked about broadcasting to YouTube and Twitch, and just all the other channels, and especially with the technology we have, where it makes it easier to do. Before, heck, you had to go in the many forums that just existed. You'd have to go around in each forum and build relationships in there and add comments and stuff like that. Well, that stuff still applies today. Is you need to participate in things, but we can also reach out in a sense with some of the technology to reach other places all at once. So YouTube, you can broadcast into there, and Facebook as well.
Yeah. Well, there's a free way to do it too, which is you can create your personal profile, your professional page, and you can comment within different groups, building relationships that way without necessarily pumping your live video stream into that group.
Right. And I don't think you're alluding to this, I'm not sure, but I wasn't saying that you had to pump your video in there.
No. But I'm just saying that in terms of reaching people, building those relationships, you can build them along the lines of various groups and various pages, but getting noticed.
Right. And I think that's the biggest thing that people, well, okay, let me just tell you what I've seen. As a marketer in the past, back in the day, right, John?
Right.
You would put in a lot of legwork where you would go into this group and this group, and even you'd write emails to people. Maybe put out a particular product, and you start to try to build a relationship. Hey, I really liked your product, and I did this, and this. Oh, and I had some of these questions and everything. So it is about building relationships, and I see that time has gone on. It's become more of a shotgun approach, with no mind paid attention to what the results were. In other words, I'm going to shoot this way, I'm going to shoot over here, I'm going to shoot over here, and then now I'm going to cry in the corner that I didn't hit anything. Meaning that I see a lot of people frustrated with not actually getting any traction, and that's not necessarily getting your audience, but just even getting anybody just to kind of test you out, just to even see if like if they're interested in you. And it really stems from the lack of networking, and really, like we talked about the other day, just flat out connecting with people and reaching out and building relationships. And I know everybody wants like the push button, no work kind of thing.
Instant.
Yeah.
Microwavable.
But by the way, don't microwave your prospects.
No.
Yeah.
Right. But I will say that, one, it doesn't work.
True.
And two, it absolutely does not work long term.
Yeah. It's also life-threatening if you put a prospect into a microwave.
Yeah. They might explode.
From a healthcare standpoint.
Right. I'm thinking.
But you can't be all things to all people. I think that's what you're talking about, Troy, with the shotgun approach. It's just going to push that out there everywhere and hope and pray that somebody's going to listen to your message. And when nobody does, you shrink in the corner and start crying.
Well, but I think as well is that even if you don't know who your audience is and you're doing the shotgun approach in the beginning, that makes sense. I get that, till you can kind of maybe see if there's a little something. But I'm even referring to where you're doing a shotgun in the sense of, let's consider every little BB that's in the shotgun shell, right? That you have, and let's just say there's 12, just to make the number easy, right? And you know 12 groups. But what you do is you go into that each group and you go, here's some stuff, boom. Here's some stuff, boom. Here's some stuff, boom. And you never go in, you never interact, or you're doing the least amount of interaction as possible. You're not maybe liking or giving a love, a heart, or a laugh, anything to other. And this is specifically about Facebook, but I'm just saying in general, have you reached out? Have you looked at a person's site that you found interested in? Did you send them an email from their contact page? Are you doing anything to really build something more than just, I'm just going to throw it out there, then I'm just going to run, and like, I really want it to work, but I don't want to do any effort. I don't want to put anything into it. Well,
and your intention, do you really like them? Or are you just going to do the fake it till you make it thing?
Yeah. And I actually even think that kind of fake it till you make it just doesn't ever pan out. Like I say, long term, it just doesn't.
Like, is your intention really to help people? And if it's not, maybe you should just get a job someplace where, you don't have to do problem solving. Yeah. You just take the order and deliver.
I mean, the interesting point that you say that, though, is it makes me think of people that, a lot of us, at least in America, right, we do talk a lot about entrepreneurship, and you almost get anybody and everybody has either some idea that they've ever wanted to do or they're trying to do. But I think some people really aren't cut out to be an entrepreneur, and
there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, there is nothing wrong with that.
That's the thing, because all of us as entrepreneurs, we need to employ people to help us because we can't possibly do everything ourselves.
But at the same time, it's not that. I think there's, you hear a lot of the stereotypes as well, like, oh, well, they're a business owner, so they have all this money and they just, they can pay for everything, or it's not a big deal if they lose a little bit, because they're a company.
Yeah.
Well, the reality is there's all different levels of company, and so you can't pigeonhole everybody into that kind of statement. But at the same time, like, you have to really check yourself if you're really willing to, again, put in the effort to build your audience. And that's really what it is. When you hear people say that, build your audience, and then they just, and that is a real statement there. It is build your audience. I mean, there's work, there's effort that's going to be involved in that. Doesn't mean there's not tools and not things that can't help you out. Because John and I and Dr. V, I'm sure, when you start out too, is there's a lot more than there used to be, right?
Oh yeah.
Tools and things, right?
Tools for everything.
Yeah, but don't get so caught up in it that you forget that one of the biggest things we always talked about back in the day. I don't hear it as much, but a lot of the connecting we would do would be through an email list, right? And so, you'll always hear like email's dead. It's all about social media and everything. I'm not buying it. Okay. Email still works. Mm-hmm. And the thing is when you write an email, this is the one phrase that I would always remind myself of, even though it's going out to a group of people that I have on my list. I'm talking to one person at a time, though. It's going to be one person reading that email, and so I'm talking to them. So, and so I need to think about that as I'm building that relationship. It's, yes, it's easy to get caught up to send an email that's bulk-ish sounding. And I'm not saying there's not appropriate times for that, because people know they are on a list kind of thing. However, do as much as you can to connect to that person.
Yeah.
Times, 1,000 or how many you have on your list that you're writing to.
Well, I think, and that's why copywriting has changed to a great extent, that now it's more conversational in its style as opposed to very formal presentation.
And also, I mean, but I still see it nowadays too. Like, you get those emails where you just feel like another number, though.
Yeah.
And
it does, by the way, it doesn't matter if somebody just, enter your first name into this field and then says, "Hi, Troy, blah, blah, blah." If the rest of the email is not personalized as a conversation, I don't care how many name fields that you put into your emails, it's just not going to work as well. You can just forget the whole thing about personalizing the email if you have a very personal style in which you're really sincerely trying to connect with someone.
Yeah. I mean, I can really go on about the email thing for a long time.
I know you're our email champion.
Yeah.
Email savant. But in terms of finding the audience to whom we're going to send these emails, I think that's the question. I mean, how do we attract them through the social media platforms? How do we attract them? Do we rent somebody's list? Do we send out little offers? And do we really know the person whom we're trying to talk to?
We should know the person we're trying to talk to.
So who's your person, John? You mentioned healthcare. Is it like every healthcare? Is it emergency medicine people? Is it massage therapists, naturopaths? Is it dentists? Who are the people who you resonate with, and who are the people you're trying to attract more of?
We seem to resonate a lot with doctors and chiropractors and naturopaths, which is something I didn't think would happen, but somehow we kind of speak the same language. Even though I'm not a doctor, I kind of understand.
On TV.
Yeah, I don't even play one on TV.
But
is that a function of your wife being a physical therapist?
I think so. And because I know a lot of health practitioners, I think I speak the language and I kind of understand what they're trying to do a little bit better. And then the same thing kind of follows with folks in the self-improvement industry. I just happened to work for a few of them, and I picked up a lot of the lingo, and we kind of gelled, and I understand what they're doing.
Yeah, I think sometimes it's interesting when we do get online, and unless you're coming from a specific field in general. So like Dr. V, came from a specific field. Whereas myself, I had been in, direct response marketing, that kind of thing. So, which is still quite broad. So I could work with a lot of different people. And then coming online, I still could work with a lot of different people, but it's who do you really resonate with? Like on Troy's level, like in my normal day to day, what are things I find fun, fascinating, and I'm driven. And then you mix those two with marketing. And I think Dr. V's original question is, how do we connect with those people? And I think, he also, said social media. So we'll say, Facebook will start with, and it is being part of groups, like we said, and actually literally connecting with those people. And then, I mean, you look for opportunities, not to shove it down their throat, but you look for opportunities like, oh, well, I do have a site where I talk about And I think in most places, if done appropriately, even if they say like, no promotion or whatever, but I think I personally think, from what I've seen, is that it depends on how long you've been in the group and if you're a real participant. But if you come in and some moderator goes, "I've never seen this person," that's a flat out like just promo kind of thing like that. They'll, kick you out, ban you, or just whatever. But I think it's how you do it, how you kind of paint the picture or set the scene to where you can promote yourself to some degree, or just a mention of, well, I have a site, and you can even set it up as like a 1-2 punch. So you set up where you say, like, oh, well, okay, so there's something that I'm interested in. Okay, arcade games, right, from the 80s. So I have a few that I've started in my collection, And so say I'm in a group, right? And I wanted to talk about, I wanted to talk a little bit more about that, either if it's just like something, say, that's personal, like I have my own website that's, based on the arcade machines, or maybe I have a business that sells parts and stuff to repair them, right?
Mhm.
So I could say, like, so the 1-2 punch would be where, oh, well, I have a website where I talk about parts and my experience and how to fix the lighting and the top, bezels and all stuff like that, and you just leave it at that, and then see if you can hopefully get somebody to kind of like, oh, well, what site is that, and so that's kind of the 1-2 punch. Or in some cases, you can just drop the, well, I have a site, or I did an article on that, and here's, on my site. And in essence, you have to look at the platform. So in other words, Twitter is different, where you're not necessarily going, oh, I'm in a group where I have to kind of be careful how I tread depending on what their group rules are. But you look for other people that are interested in the things you're interested in Twitter, and you can start following them, and you start those conversations and those things like that. There, at least those are some of my quick ideas with the social media platforms. But I know, like, you guys have done a lot, well, I'm about to say way more, but like everything more than me, like with Instagram. So that might be.
Yeah, I
Yep,
mean,
with
Instagram is
Instagram.
an interesting place. I mean, and that, I think, is a function in part of the pretty pictures that you put out,
Mhm.
but it's also of the use of the 30 hashtags. And as I am guilty of not using all 30 hashtags. And typically, when you make a post of some sort, you want to have, say, maybe your top 3 hashtags underneath your image, and then you have those little dots that go down there, and then you hide the remaining 27 hashtags. People will search Instagram looking for the hashtags that you use, and your tribe, if you have a particular hashtag that you've been promoting, will be hunting you down based on that hashtag. So the use of hashtags on Twitter, on Instagram, I think even Tumblr works with it, and LinkedIn. People search for hashtags on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is probably one of the more underutilized platforms in terms of developing an audience. I think we're all kind of foaming at the mouth trying to get on a LinkedIn Live, but there's still the opportunity to put up blog posts and to engage with people by putting up your videos on LinkedIn.
Sure.
Yeah, and I think actually YouTube is another good one as well. I mean,
there's those, then people will search for hashtags. I'm amazed at how often a hashtag will work. Whereas in Facebook, I've been playing with hashtags on Facebook. We used to tell clients that they don't work at all, and now I'm starting to see a little traction with hashtags on Facebook. But it's not absolute. I think they just ignore that little pound sign and then look for the word after it.
Well, and like I've been in different conversations with people as I've been talking about, where I'm going to be doing some of my live stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And again, YouTube has come up because YouTube is, again, touted as the second greatest search engine to Google.
Yeah.
And that's the thing too. You can put your stuff in there, even hashtags or not, but you would want to have some keywords in your normal, like, title of what the videos are about, but people will search you out. And then, of course, in the description, you can always have a link to your website to where they can sign up, for a newsletter or just your other social media platforms as well. And, get them, and then, give a plug or, in your video itself at the beginning or end of where you can be found. And again, it's like we say, reaching out to these other platforms that exist. And again, over time, and I think this actually brings up another good point. It just pops into my head is what we've talked about before of the consistency. And I know that's why John, like with this 30-day challenge group, it was about like, hey, let's be consistent and put yourself, do a video. Again, it's a group to really test your video ness, whether it's the actual technology and or you just getting on there, right?
Yeah.
And
making it a regular habit.
Yeah, making it a habit. And that's, I think, I know you guys, when I first started live streaming with you guys had always talked about that, is the consistency. And that is very true, because there is if you're not in front of people's faces, you can kind of sort of got forgotten in a sense. I mean, you can have your group that you already have, but you want to keep on, as I say, stuff the pipe with, more followers and people that you connect with, than to just, be okay with just, the whatever quantity you have. because there's so many people just coming online and having different interests, and you know, as we change in life, we have different interests as things happen, right? So
Yeah.
always keep doing that. And I do have a suggestion for that for some people, like, oh, I don't want to do something every day. Well, the reality is you can actually take a particular day and you film for video. In an example, it wouldn't necessarily be live stuff, but I mean, you can say for YouTube, you can go ahead and do a batch of videos or even a batch of content. So say for a blog or whatever, right? And you know, it's just, you just have to look at the medium that you're using or the platform, and you know, kind of figure out how you can kind of do a batch of that for, you know, for a while, whatever, and then, you know, you drip it out and that kind of thing, to kind of keep reaching out to, you know, the masses. Because I'm trying to remember now in YouTube, because I've done videos in there, but it hasn't been, I haven't done any on my live streams, but I put some past videos in there. I'm trying to remember if you can schedule those.
Yes.
Yes, you can. Yeah.
Okay, because I thought it was, but I didn't want to say definitively, and then I was all like,
Mm.
"This guy doesn't know what he's talking about." So, yeah,
No.
well, I mean, that's another example of what you can do then.
Yeah,
It
so
is-
you could have this just regularly scheduled content being pushed out. So, John, where do you typically prospect for your clients? I mean, do you go through groups on Facebook, or are you doing email or networking groups? I mean, well, sort of pre-pandemic, post-pandemic.
Kind of all of the above, even still. Nothing for me has really changed prospecting wise. I'm still mostly groups, networking through other people, all the things you mentioned, really. Making more videos. By making videos, people interact with the videos that I make. So
Have you done any ads where you're just, you know, sending out ads to sort of cold traffic?
we've been playing around with some short video ads, or beginning to play around with some short video ads.
And when you
The
target
response to those is
an
good.
audience, I mean, let's say that you were going to, I'll give a hypothetical, you were going after physical therapists with their own practice. Would you be going to Google in terms of Google ads, or, you know, which used to be our old AdSense, or would you be going to YouTube ads, or would you be checking out what Facebook had to offer in terms of the audience creation?
Probably Facebook in terms of the audience creation, and then we're usually looking locally for people around us that are in
Right.
those fields.
So is
Yeah.
your market, is it more local or more national?
Some of it's local, and then some of it's national. So a lot of what we did with agency marketing has become more local.
Mhm.
But before that, most of my market was national. I've got clients in Europe and Australia and all over. So wide variety of different places.
Mate,
Hey,
hey.
Good day.
good day. Yeah.
Real quick, I want to jump back to what Rohit was saying. If you throw his thing up on the
Which
screen,
one, the emails thing?
the I ditched emails, yeah.
That one, yeah.
So I ditched emails because first, I can't write emails, and second, my audience is on WhatsApp, YouTube, Insta, and Facebook. Hindi videos, native language.
Hindi videos, yeah. I don't know that my Hindi is pretty bad. My roommate spoke Urdu, but not Hindi. So
Well, there you go.
yeah, sorry.
You know, I mean, it's you know, it's valid to say, you know, like, I mean, if you can really reach your people and you can generate the sales and everything like that, nobody says you have to do an email list.
No, you don't have to. You know, in fact, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I'm just thinking before this thought leaves my head. Being so close to the border in Mexico, I've gone back and forth with my wife, and I've gone on my own to different shopping plazas of all places, little strip malls. And what's fascinating is when you go into these mini malls, they're covered, but there's no air conditioning in them. But they're relatively cool in terms of temperature. As you walk by, almost every sign in Tijuana, at least, will have their WhatsApp number posted in there, either as the prominent sign or sub signs or things. And most Mexican business people use WhatsApp for their marketing. Find me on WhatsApp, look us up on WhatsApp, message us on WhatsApp, which is not something that we see in the United States.
Very
So it has
popular.
a particular distribution. So
No. Yeah, I got turned into WhatsApp by my friend in Ecuador who runs a medical clinic down there.
mhm.
And then turns out then friends of mine here and then in Europe were using it.
Yeah. So
It's becoming more popular now, but it's really popular in
so
South
my
America.
question is, how do you leverage WhatsApp to find your audience? I
Yeah.
understand that you have your audience, you can message them in, but I'm just wondering if there are any tools or things that you've heard about
That's on WhatsApp, Rowie.
based on WhatsApp, to find an audience.
He's saying it's really easy to curate content in different
Really?
languages. Yeah, see, this is what he says.
Something brand new.
So, well, John was asking, you were saying, is he referring to WhatsApp? Is that what you were asking him?
Yeah,
About WhatsApp.
that's what he's referring to as WhatsApp.
I know, unfortunately, sometimes when people do make comments, and we're kind of even just 30 seconds later, we're like, well, what is that related
Sometimes
to?
they're delayed significantly, and every once in a while,
Back
within
up
3 minutes, I'll see a waterfall of comments come through.
No, I know.
Sorry about that. We'll answer them. We'll answer them in the comment section later.
WhatsApp business, he just said.
WhatsApp business. It's interesting.
Yeah, so he was saying it's easy to curate content in different languages, referring to WhatsApp business.
Too many cooks. Studio.
Fingers pressing the button.
I didn't press the end button though. Whoops, over there.
Right.
There. That's the end button.
Yeah.
The end button over there, just do that.
It's somewhere over there.
That way. Yeah, exactly. You can message
that's
you
true.
if they
You
don't
can't
figure it out.
message people.
Yeah. I've heard this. Seems very popular. Yeah.
Where did John go? He left us.
It seems very popular, and then he exited stage right.
Stage. Well, it's stage. Yeah, stage right, which is my left.
Hey, the what in my cat?
Yeah, what are you messaging your cat with WhatsApp or
Yeah,
is
that's what I'm doing. I'm calling him on WhatsApp. As a
on
cat.
WhatsApp? What
No, he's messaged me by clawing at the door. So
clawing? And wouldn't you like to have your prospective clients clawing at the door, ready to get your products and services?
who wouldn't? You know what I'm
You
saying?
would?
Who
Of course
wouldn't?
you would. They'd be banging down the doors trying to get to you.
Of course.
Yeah.
I do experience it a lot more with the work I do in video than I ever did in anything else.
Yeah. Video is extraordinarily popular.
It is extraordinary.
Years from now, 2 years or 3 years or something, the expectation is that 90% of all internet traffic is going to be video. That's crazy.
It's pretty wild. I like it.
70% or something, but even that's nuts. But if it's 90%, who has time to consume all that video? You better be narrowed down to your audience in
Yeah.
order to get your stuff watched.
Well, and that's what you're seeing is the longer videos don't get watched as much as the very short, concise ones.
Things, yeah.
Well, if you think about it, like the shorter stuff is just easier to consume, so it's easy just to, okay, cool, got it, right? But the longer videos, say for example, like this one, it's going to be somebody that's wanting to know about that specific topic, expertise,
Right.
that kind of thing. And so, yeah, in general, I agree with John. They're not consumed in general, but that's why you're, like, for example, this video wouldn't be for a general audience.
No.
So you really are, you would do your longer things for a specific audience. However, I would suggest that if you're doing, say if you're doing a course, or even just some videos where you're just trying to demonstrate your expertise, that you do them in smaller segments. Because what I found, so with memberships is, so originally I used to do, okay, here's the 40-minute video on a particular SEO topic or whatever, or here's a particular 40-minute or an hour video on a particular part of email. So it might not even be the whole thing, right?
Right.
But if you think about the world, how we're shifting now, again, a lot on mobile, and people just busy, right? And we're also busy not accomplishing anything, but that's a side story. But being busy is that now if you then chunk your lessons and learnings into smaller segments, you get people that can be, for example, they're a student, okay, and they are going to school, but yet, hey, they're wanting to, in my case, learn some more about, email, right? And so they're catching a ride with a friend. So, but they can sit there and watch a 10-minute video, and then, oh, they've arrived at school, and now they're able to learn something, and now they're going to their regular classes. But it wasn't that, you get people in there and they're like, man, that's a 40-minute video. I ain't even going to start that because, ain't nobody got no time for that. And so it's best to chunk down your information for easier consumption.
Right.
The other thing that that a lot of the to get a little more specific in what I referred to, so membership sites, is a lot of them are getting to the point now, or they're having the option of a continue feature. So it will remember where you left off on a video, and you don't see it a whole ton now, but it's coming out in different platforms. So I think right now it's still best to do the smaller segments or chunks for people to digest, until people then get to the expectation of, oh, okay, it's a 40-minute video, but now I can watch it up to whatever point and it'll remember where I'm at. So no, it's not that big a deal. So
if you refresh, like that's one of the frustrations I have with some Facebook Lives. If you refresh the page for your connection, it takes you way back to the beginning again. You have to remember, was it minute 17 that I was on, or minute 19? And that gets to be a little frustrating.
Well, actually, what's very frustrating about Facebook is sometimes I'll be looking at something, I'm like, oh yeah, that reminds me, and then I'm like, I want to send this person a message, so I'll click them, I'll pull up the Messenger app on my phone, and I'm starting to give them a message, and then I jump back and I want to get more on that thread, and Facebook just happens to decide it needs to refresh.
How about that?
Well,
and then I was like, wait a minute, which group was this in again or something? And I'm like, and so anyway, that I think them and their grandiose idea that your app needs refresh. No, it doesn't. Okay, I can refresh it if I need to, and I know how that works. But it's very frustrating from a user aspect that just because I go away from it doesn't mean that I want to come back and have you refresh this the app for me, because it's just it does that too often for what I need.
That's the frustration with Twitter too, because they've got this new feature a couple months ago where it automatically refreshes, and you're like, wait a minute, I was scrolling through, you suddenly refreshed and gave me new content. I have to go all the way back down again and scroll down to what I was reading.
Yeah.
So maybe it's an attempt to get more eyeballs on more content, but it's also incredibly annoying when people auto refresh for you.
Incredibly annoying.
Hey, so audiences, we tend to actually our audience primarily is business owners or other marketers, because as Troy, you've said before, marketers buy from other marketers, which is very common in our industry. So the question is, so if somebody had a business that they're selling widgets, how would they go about finding that audience? Just putting out content related to widgets, or doing searches for widgets and contributing to other potential widget buyers, or blog posts? Creating content is one of the things I think a lot of people ignore, like blog posts.
It's really one of the most important things.
Yeah.
Because the content and people resonating with you, that is what attracts people to you.
And attracts those Google spiders, because what I found, and I'm guilty of, is not producing blog posts. And that's something I need to change completely.
Yeah.
Well, Dr. V, like we've talked about before, of repurposing, right? I think that's really a good way for blog content. And again, there's many different ways to go about that, but and I can go off on a tangent, but to go specifically more to your original question of, to go back to your original question, so you're selling, widgets or whatever. You need to know your widget and who your audience is, not just this is a good thing to have and people can use it. Well, again, if you don't know your audience, how are you going to market to them? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, that, and then it goes back to, kind of what John was saying, is creating the content on that. So what would your audience use this for? Show them use case scenarios. Sorry, John?
Case studies, all kinds of things.
Case studies. And for somebody who doesn't know really what a case study is, say for maybe even a widget owner, right? It's where you actually show somebody how they would actually use your widget.
And the results that they got from the widget.
And the results that they get from it. And that actually does go over to widgets, to, information or training, or a service, those kind of things. And I found that case studies actually, it's good that you bring that up. Case studies are, because I know we talked about it in some episodes back, but case studies are really so much more powerful than just testimonials.
True.
You know,
Yeah,
widget X,
for
I
me.
got it and I like it. Okay.
But before you get to your case studies, you're probably going to rely on testimonials because you may not have many customers at the very beginning.
Or
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you have testimonials that are kind of a combination of both.
Yeah.
Better yet. That's what I try to get most of the time.
Testimonials.
Yeah, they really are. So one of the things that I've been concentrating on lately is exactly that. Testimonials that are also like a form of a case study. So people actually get to understand what I did with this client.
Mm-hmm.
And we did it in almost like an interview form, which was really cool. So I've been doing a lot more of those, like case testimonials.
Case testimonials.
Hashtag case
See,
testimonial.
Testimonial.
You heard it here first.
That's right.
The cool thing,
Testimonial.
yeah, the cool thing that you can do with the case studies in general. So when you have them, reachable, say like on your site or blog post, that kind of thing,
Yeah.
or both blog post and on your site, is that you'll have people that actually will link to that type of thing, and you'll never see. Well, I say never, but you'll never see anybody linking to a testimonial.
No.
You know what I mean? But a case study at least, gives people where they can, so, you have a friend and you're like interested in something. I mean, you can make it, hey, check out this site, but also, hey, here's this person that has, a use case, or in other words, hey friend, hey John, Dr. V, this guy, Dr. V has a site and he has, we were talking the other day about that thing where, well, check this out. Like he has a guy that he's going through, and they're talking about how he used Dr. V's service, and it's similar to what we were talking about the other day. Why don't you check it out? And I'd send that kind of link to you. Yeah. But some guy that says like, Dr. V is great and he helped me with my, whatever. I'm not going to send you a link to. I'm not going to send you a link to that. You know what I mean? Like just a testimonial that makes no sense. I mean, I don't see any real value in me sending.
The other thing is sometimes you just attract people by your personality or the entertainment value or something like that. But they sometimes people just want to see what happens next.
We certainly attract a lot of people who are like us. I mean, I know a lot of people
I would say so.
Like camping and hiking and RVing and,
Oh, yeah. For me, camping is
the Four Seasons. Oh, at the beach. Okay.
I did so much Boy Scout camping.
For some of my friends, camping is the Four Seasons.
Your friends, you attract campers. It's like, hello, campers.
Campers, people who like the outdoors.
I was thinking back to something in terms of finding audiences, because I actually cut my teeth on direct marketing, on envelopes and sending things out. I used to cut. So I worked for Harvard Magazine when I was an undergrad, and my goal when I finally got into like the upper level years, they put me into classified advertising. So tiny classified ads.
You mean Harvard?
Very powerful.
Harvard?
Yeah, Harvard. See,
Wow.
John couldn't understand you. John couldn't understand until you said it.
I have to translate.
You got to translate it.
Magazine on 7 Ware Avenue.
I have to translate for my local audience.
It was in Cambridge.
Cambridge.
There was not much parking there, so I used to walk.
Right.
Anyway, so I would cut out. So this is an audience. This is actually how I found the audience, which was I looked at magazines. We're talking, this is way back in the 70s. Mm-hmm. I looked at magazines that I thought the audience, might be similar to. Who would want to place an ad in the alumni magazine? So I went to publications like Smithsonian. Not Field and Stream, not RV Camper. I looked at Smithsonian. I looked at New Yorker magazine. I looked at upper level, sort of upper income magazine or educational type magazines. I would cut out their ads and I would tape them to a form letter that I sent out saying, your ad could reach 183,000 Harvard alumni who have the following demographics, income and this and that and everything else. And I would just mail them out with first class postage. I would sit there at the postage meter, just going on and on, just sending out one. That worked incredibly well because I would send it to the address, post box, whatever, of the classified ads. And you'd be amazed at the number of people who would say, yeah, I'd like to reach those Harvard alumni. And that was my whole introduction into marketing, was back in, in the late 1970s, early 80s. But that has given way to email marketing and to a number of other things, social media marketing and conversational selling. But I do remember way back when the success of finding what you believe, at least, is a lookalike audience or something similar, taking out their little ads and pulling them into your little piece of direct mail that you would send out.
And that
it was total guesswork, though, as to where is my audience.
And that really is nice that we can do that now, because when we do have a really fine-tuned audience, to be able to just go to YouTube or
it is so much easier now.
Facebook and
yeah, it's so much easier than cutting out ads.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Plus, the other thing that's great is if you've got somebody in your realm that has an audience similar to what you should have.
Yeah.
It's so easy to go out and see who their audience is, or to send ads to that audience.
Yeah, and one of the techniques that people recommend is if you have no idea who your audience is, go out to a bookstore. Well, it's easier in pre-pandemic times, and you just kind of thumb through the various magazines and just kind of get a sense of who the people are who read these publications. See if there even is a publication based on what you think your market is going to be. So if you want to do vegetarian hang gliders and you go to the store and you see there's not a single magazine for vegetarian hang gliders, and you look for vegetarian hang gliders on Amazon and you don't see any books or other publications or even Kindle publications, the odds are that vegetarian hang gliders is probably too narrow of a market for you. You may have niched down way too much.
I will throw a few tacks underneath your bike tire right now, Dr. V.
But there are no tires on hang gliders.
Well, I will leave that one alone, because actually I think I've seen some that have for moving it around. Anyway, but there is a point of niching down. Yes, I think too far, but then also certain niching down, as you know, does make sense. Like, but one thing actually, Dr. V, that as you were talking, it made me think about how, again, with audience, so in my group, we've had the Rich Sheffrin live streams that he's done the past few days, where he's talked with Ruth, and we're talking about and so Ruth,
Katrina
Ruth. Yeah, I'm going by her last name. What up, Ruth? I mean, we're like that. Her and I. So
sure. What up? It's your first name, people.
I'm your home.
It's high school days. McDonald, what's up? That kind of stuff. So,
yeah.
But the one thing she talks about is that being the authentic self, in a sense, right? Because I know that I have a professionalist kind of smoothing that I do to some of my stuff, but at the same time I'm really trying to just be me, Troy, so that when people do connect with me for real, I mean, they may be looking at my material or something, but when they connect with me for real, it's not like whoa, wait a minute, who's this guy? Like, I don't know who them. It's not like there's two different personas going on. So what do you guys say about that, as far as really being yourself, and that part of the attraction process of
it's hugely significant. So we have a friend. So back in the Google Plus days, we got to network with a lot of people from all over the world. And one of our friends, Nazim, we got to know. He's in Milan, in Italy. He married a fashion. She's actually a makeup artist, and he wound up moving to Italy. And Milan is the big fashion center and everything. And so we've known him through video chat, through Google Hangouts, through Blab, through all these different methodologies, or media, I should say, and through these platforms. And so when we actually went to Milan, Maggie and I went to Milan, and we went to Florence and different places, and we're in Milan, we got to meet up with him. And he was exactly like we had known him through Google Plus and Blab and everything else. So it is possible to have that kind of resonance built up over time. But the fact that we were the same and he was the same, it made it as if, we were just meeting up with an old friend, even though it was the very first time ever that we had met up in real life.
I talk about that experience a lot.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's really kind of what you're wanting to have with your audience.
Yeah, that's the level of resonance that's a level of authenticity. So, and the highest compliment you can have, like if you meet somebody, a celebrity, politicians, celebrities, others, they say, you'll see something like that. Gosh, she's just as nice as you would imagine her to be, or he's so nice. I thought he would be stuck up and this and that. But the reality is, if you can be who you are, and as John likes to say, you be you, and me be me.
Not to be confused with UB40.
No, UB40, I've made that reference before. So I be 40, but that was a long time ago. But if you can be the person who you really are, I think it makes it a whole lot easier to resonate with your potential clients, with your potential future friends. It's I don't know how quite to say it other than, rather than being such a smooth operator and being super professional, in my case, wearing the white coat, the tie, and the stethoscope around my neck, I mean, that's sort of a mask or a costume that you're putting on. And I don't know that pretending to be something that you aren't is really going to get you that far in today's digital media world.
Right. I was going to say, in fact, if you are pretending to be someone you aren't, I think you're in for a world of unhappiness, because you're never going to be resonating the people.
You may never meet up to the image that you have portrayed that's implanted in other people's minds.
Right.
Yeah. I also think that it's actually draining though as well.
Oh,
too.
It is.
I don't think
way too much.
It is. It's draining to not be you.
I actually like what Rohit just said too, as well. Like I said, so easy to be natural, and that actually is interesting. He used the word satisfying. I mean, I think it's true that being you is so effortless.
Yeah,
and I know it's easy to think of, well, will anybody like me, or will I have enough like me? And I would say to that yes, we all are different and individuals, but you still have to put in the work, like we started the very talk about it, in the very beginning. Put in the work and find those that you resonate with, that like you. And everybody's entrepreneur's journey is not, hey, you're just gonna be an entrepreneur. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you're there. Everybody's is all crazy, and some are longer and shorter than others. But I think, again, like Rohit said about satisfying, I think there is a great peace of mind that comes from the fact of you get to be you to your audience. And like Dr. V said, I remember having met people online where when you finally meet them, it's like a friendship. You just you continue where you left off last time, kind of thing.
Exactly. You just picked up where you left off. It's a seamless from online to offline. It's one continuous stream, for want of any better term.
It's a good term.
And another thought that pops into my mind recently, because I've been thinking a lot about, and in talking to other people about, again, networking. It's been one of the big things for me recently. I mean, that I've really, really thought about it, and just thought that's, again, how everything is based on it. It's the network that you build of people that you can connect with. It's your own readers, or when I say reader, I'm thinking email again, but the people that you're connected with is part of your network. And I just see so many people trying to shortcut the system of not networking, not building relationships. And they're in the, hey, again, how can I jump into your group, take advantage of it, and be gone, and just take from it whenever I want, and not contribute to that. And I'm like, I have never seen that work long term, or even sometimes it doesn't even work short term.
Yeah. So, I was going to say, to build out your KT factor so that people will know you, like you, and trust you. Trust is earned over time. It's not instant trust.
No.
So, I mean, that's the biggest thing that I would just say to remind people, as we're kind of getting up on the top of the hour here. To wrap up, so to speak, or my final comment really would be is understand that your journey for building your connection with people is going to be what it is. I can't tell you when that is, or even mine. I'm still on that journey. I'm still doing it. It's never ending in a sense. And then be yourself and really look to help people, because not only does it pay off in the short term, and maybe not always as much as you want. I'll be honest about that. It's not always going to pay off as much as you want in the short term, because everybody wants things now, right? The microwave thing we've talked about.
Right.
But I know that it allows you to feed yourself the day after and the day after and the month after and the year after. That's what's important. That's why you do it, because so many people every day, I see too many people trying to live for the moment, in the sense that they want to get the most from the moment. But what they didn't do yesterday or the day before or the day before was building those relationships and that network. Mm-hmm. And so that's why I'm saying, like, yes, if you want it now, you have to have done it back then. So what you need to do now, so that you can take from it in the future, and I don't mean that in a negative sense, but that you can make use of it in the future, mm-hmm. is by doing it now. So you just got to build those relationships.
So my final thoughts.
I was going to do that, but
I knew you were gonna. I could just tell. I could see it coming. So, but I had to collect my final thought here, because I think it's important. So, my final thought. Whenever I look at audience, I really try to dig into even deeper to who they are, and really, when I think I've got it niched down, I'd even try to niche further, because you can't not really dig deep into who your audience is, and you'll end up attracting people outside of that. We often think we have to build this huge target that hits everybody, but in reality, you hit nobody. And so that's my final thought. It's funny, over the years, we always kind of start with that thought of, oh, I gotta have this big net so I can catch everybody in it. And it's not reality. The reality is you have to niche down really, 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 really tightly. And then when you think you had it super tight, you try to even get it further, and you still attract people outside of that. So
it's true. You do attract people, even if you are niche down. You will get additional other people that are, in that phase, or even just close enough.
Yeah, I can think of that. I focused on chiropractors, and I wound up attracting dentists. Like, how did that happen? Yeah. So. But
they're both doctors. That's a plus.
They were doctors. That's true. But then I wound up attracting nurse practitioners also, and MDs. And I was like, wait a minute, what's the commonality? And the commonality was people who like to help other people and who were in the business of helping people.
Right.
One thing that you had mentioned earlier, Troy, about it was something about how it's exhausting to present something different. It reminds me of people who lie. People who lie have to have an amazing memory, because they have to remember who they told what story to. But if your story is consistent with who you are, it's very easy to attract an audience who resonate with you. And I think we look at all the different tools, and John talked about niching down or niching down. We get to that point where you have to make the decision. First of all, you have to understand who you are in order to figure out who you want to attract. And I think a lot of the process when we're looking at prospecting, trying to figure out who our audience, it has a lot to do with who do we feel comfortable serving and who do we want to serve. And sometimes our customer avatar or our audience turn out to be people very much like us. Now, maybe not exactly like us, but maybe they share our values. Maybe they share some of our beliefs. And that's what makes it easy for us to network with them and to make that bridge to bringing somebody into our world as a potential customer, even as a potential friend.
I'm sure that's true. And Rohit has a final thought. Just keep documenting and upload. People will find you, he says. So,
yeah, document, create content.
I give that 2 thumbs up, Rohit. Or Rohit. I'm not sure, but I think
it's a third thumb. I would give it to you, but that would be confusing.
I think Rohit.
Rohit.
I think.
All right. So tomorrow we will be back. I think it's Friday.
It's Friday tomorrow.
Oh, geez.
It's the online marketing happy hour.
Mayhem.
It's a potpourri. It doesn't have to be mayhem.
Potpourri.
It is May, though.
It may be a train that goes off the cliff.
There may be hem and her, hemming and hawing. So We'll be back tomorrow.
We'll be back tomorrow.
5 Eastern, 3 Mountain, 2 Pacific,
4 o'clock Central.
and noon Hawaii, 1 o'clock Alaska.
There you go.
And whatever
We'll see you
time,
then.
yeah, I do not know. Bye.
Bye.
See you guys.